Alright, what's going on, everyone? Connor and Shane, we are back. I'm going to be talking about the market. Obviously, the market's dumping. It is down yet again. Just like it was less than a week ago. Over here, had a dip down here. It has went from just over 70K, 72K, right around there. Now it's down to 66. So it has had a pretty good size correction over the last, I think, literal 2 days from here. But at the same time, it has only been down around 9-10%. So if you guys have been in crypto for a while, you've been in crypto before, that really is not a full out major dip. I kind of have this drawn here because I would not be surprised to see something like this happen over the next few weeks. So in crypto, if you guys have been in for a cycle, multiple cycles, you're already going to be familiar with how heavy some of these dips can be. Anywhere from 20%, 30%. Pretty sure sometimes some dips have been crazy. Just even upwards of 30, 40%. Something like that. Right now, this market has been up only, guys, for a long time. In my opinion, this has not had a huge major correction yet. We've had this was around 20, but in my opinion, I feel like that's too small. When we were down here, I was waiting for a dip, maybe somewhere. Like, my thing's in the way here. Hold up. I was waiting for some sort of dip, maybe around like 34, 35K. I don't know why I just said it like that. Right around like 34, 35. That was my bet for like a wick if it came down. But it never hit. And it only went down from around 48 down to 38 here. And ended up shooting right back up. But obviously, this is from the ETF. So what I'm trying to get at here is there is potential for more downside from here. And that includes a lot of your altcoins, a lot of your meme coins that you hold. Things could continue to get pretty bad. But at the same time, it's very difficult to know in this cycle here. I've just been watching the markets, obviously. I'm watching them every single minute of the day. It's just been very interesting so far, just to see how this whole market is playing out right now. Because I feel like right now, finally, we are having a major correction in altcoins, which I think even down here, I don't remember many altcoins correcting like crazy. Outside of that, right there, altcoins dipped for like a day. That got 8, dipped right back up. We're seeing altcoins across the board. Like, we even got MOG down like 30, 40, 50% over the last couple days here. Pepe down 20, 30, something more. Again, this is in 2 days. 'Cause right now it's only showing like one day. And Trump down even more. Those meme coins on ETH down heavily. A lot of meme coins on Solana absolutely obliterated today. WIF down to about $2. I think it was like three something yesterday or the day before. So meme coins are getting hit hard. A lot of projects are down pretty heavy. But you know what? This is crypto, guys. This is what I wanna. Excuse me. This is what I want to bring up here mainly, because this is what it means to be in the crypto market. If you've gone through a cycle, you've gone through multiple, you have been through these dips, and they are ugly. They get very ugly. Many people don't understand going through these dips, and just sometimes holding your bags through them. Oftentimes over the long term, will end up being the most rewarding. And I'm not trying to be here to give you guys advice on, sell stuff. Like, worst case, it goes lower, or just hold. This is just general information. But what I plan on doing is I'm just DCAing into the strongest coins on very heavy dips. Even just one in particular right now, Web AI. This has been a top top AI coin in my portfolio for a while, and it is on a great dip right now. And could we see this continue lower? We could potentially. We could see the entire market start dipping lower, like I was just saying before. As Bitcoin, it doesn't look like it wants to stop yet. We're at 66K. This could come down into right under support here, and the support is all the way. Well, I'm lagging like crazy now too, of course. But this support is all the way back from last cycle, and it kind of hits both tops basically. But it's just interesting. And again, this drawing I just put there the other day, or earlier today rather. But it's like when we look at this chart, guys, and we zoom out, this is on the daily. It's been kind of nuts, and we have only dropped this little, right? So it's definitely time to prepare for worst case things do not pan out up only like they really have been over the last 3 to 6 months, right? This is probably going to pull something like this. It might come down. And I think if it bounces, comes down, it can go down around 60K, anywhere under 60K. Right around that area, I think is going to be a very strong support, very strong area where I don't think it's going to go much lower than that for a dip right now. And I think this anywhere in this area, if the market decides to go this low and drop over the next few days, few weeks, even like a month or two, I think the lower that this can get, the more of an opportunity that this entire market is opening up to people. This is like the kind of thing that I've been saying for months. If you've watched the channel and watched a bunch of my random Bitcoin updates, I've been wanting this market basically to have a very heavy pullback. I've been waiting and calling for one over here, waiting, calling one here, on this dip, another one here is waiting for this to go down lower. Over here. God, I gotta stop yawning. My fault. But like I said, this market's just wild, and this is what it means to be in a crypto bull market. And I also talked about in a previous video that I feel like my stance has changed on the fact of where we actually are in this current cycle. It's interesting looking at, if we go back to right here, obviously we still have the halving, right? The halving is still in a month from now, just around a month. We've seen this major leg up, major run up, at least 3 to 6 months after the halving. But we have already decided to run up, break all-time highs. Obviously, we've pulled back from it before the halving in this cycle. So we are very much so in uncharted territory, right? And it's very difficult when it comes to something like this that is playing out. It's playing out similar to the last cycle. God, excuse me. It's playing out to the last cycle, or like the last cycle, but it's actually playing out a little bit different, right? So when it comes to this, I put a lot of thought into, what do I really think this market will pull over the next 6 months, over the next year to 2 years. It's been very interesting because when it comes to gains, mainly what I am waiting for is, I've told you guys many times, I just said it too, I want some sort of heavy dip to just really show. When you look at it on a daily chart, it looks like a nice big dip. That's mainly what I'm waiting for. And especially if this can go under all-time highs again, consolidate, and eventually just have like a huge spring-loaded push to the upside from here. I think eventually that is going to be one of the best opportunities for the rest of this cycle. Even if this cycle is a shortened cycle like some people claim, even if it is an elongated cycle like other people claim, I'm trying to take advantage of whatever the narrative that people are putting on this cycle. even like no matter the top in which what Bitcoin is going to do, like I've said, what I'm waiting for is potentially more downside from here, and then another major leg up in Bitcoin. I'd say well over 80, 85K into like maybe 90K, just above 90K region. I think from there is going to be a huge leg up in the market. And I really do think 100K probably is going to have a lot of resistance, because that is a huge number that, millions of people have been waiting for Bitcoin to actually hit. I would not be surprised to see like a flash crash right around 100K. Just, almost something like this. It's come up, kind of chilled, and just started to dump. Would not be surprised to see that happen as well. So, and it's kind of interesting because, like I was saying too, with it, I really do feel that we are almost early in where this cycle is right now. And that's why I have the stance on what I'm waiting for. One, deeper correction, and two, the next major leg up before anything. Because whether we are right here in this cycle, again, down here, this is 6 months after the halving. But let's say, for example, that we are actually at that current state of the market, but in this cycle, we're at that state of the market, but 6 to 7 months early, 8 months early. Where would this kind of put us? Let's say, for example, we are at like a run up like this. From the bottom here, let's say this was the bottom. Because honestly, this right here kind of reminds me of this right here. It looks pretty similar price action, and right after that, market had this movement, consolidation, giga push to the upside. Consolidation movement, giga push to the upside. Then this had a huge correction and a push up. But I'm also not saying that in a sense that this is going to just keep going from here, to finish this leg up. That's not what I'm saying. I think we're generally in this area here, but months early. And this has been that leg up for now. So there's no telling as far as what it's going to do, but it's just, it's going to be, how are you going to be prepared right now? And like I'm saying, if you have some capital on the sidelines, that's good. If you have very, very risky positions, you have a lot of money in, you're really stressing about it. Like if you can't sleep at night because some of your bags are moving too much and you don't want to lose that money, then I would highly recommend, selling a little bit, even just taking some off the top, even if it's a portion of your position, 10%, 20, even half, worst case, Because again, you can always buy back lower, worst case, but then also you won't miss the boat 100% if it continues up for some reason, right? So that's what I usually recommend to a lot of people. Like, don't be afraid to just trim your positions a little bit. If it's too much, you should hold a good amount of capital in a coin where like you don't really have to think about it. One, because it's not a crazy amount of capital where, again, you're gonna shit your pants if you lose it. Or two, you're in a very fundamentally strong coin or fundamentally strong project, that has a lot of future upside potential. Because I also look at, a lot of different coins in this market. I'll come to memes in a second, but, even some of these very, very strong projects, you guys got to kind of look, too, at where the projects are in terms of when they are, when they've decided to start moving. It was only, 6 months ago? We were at a complete bottom. IXS here has come up. It's had one major push to the upside, right? And now it's been consolidating. Many altcoins have done something very similar. I'd say Render is a different one. Render has been absolutely killing it. This one just had the downside up here, or down here if you got in. That was, best entry anyone could have got in their life. Render's been killing it. Certain coins have been outperforming everything, but Generally in the market, most altcoins haven't really moved like crazy yet. Some have, don't get me wrong. Well, time frame wise, if you go back to the last cycle, when you look back, I remember looking back on like CoinGecko or something, you'd look at some coins, and you'd hit like the, all time moves or all-time gains, you'd see like over a 2-year span, you'd see the coin went from zero all the way to, whatever major market cap that it hit. But you'd see the percents. Like, let's see, I literally have CoinGecko up. Let's see if we can find what I'm talking about. But just from a major time frame, and I think CoinGecko, the way they changed their layout was kind of different. But no, like even like looking at Cardano here, when it first started moving, like look at where this leg of this bull run is right now versus where this was before. Again, we're still not at the halving, so this really could be a giga pump waiting to happen for a lot of coins. Because like let's say if you compared it, Cardano here in our current cycle to over here, it'd only be like what, right around here, something like that. It really hasn't had this blow off top phase yet, and I feel like almost all altcoins have not experienced that. Again, some have, a lot of newer ones have that had a lot of hype. A lot of them have been kind of up only, but the general, market outside of some of these brand new coins, they haven't had this up only, real, I guess, retail pump, if you want to put it. And obviously Cardano is, it is multiple cycles old. I don't know what to expect out of this one specifically. Because again, some of these could pull like Monero type runs, If you don't know what Monero is, it's a very old coin, privacy focused. But Monero is one that just in 2018 had its beautiful run up, but in the last cycle, it didn't perform like you would think. Like you would have thought this would have went to new all-time highs. It completely killed it. But it, from the lows, it just went up, and it barely cracked its all-time highs. And Monero, honestly, in this cycle so far, hasn't done anything. It looks like it's dumped, to be honest, And so I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of older altcoins pull something similar to this, where they don't even break all-time highs. That's something I'll definitely keep in mind as well, which is why I always recommend go with newer coins too. Because if you have a coin that's been out for multiple cycles already, there's a good chance that 80% of new investors are not going to be flocking to old coins, unless they are really continuing to build and grow like crazy. It's definitely that's something to pay attention to, right? But like I said, a lot of altcoins, when we look back, I guess we can't really do it with it again, because I think CoinGecko just changed the way they laid this stuff out. But I remember before just seeing like all-time moves like 62,000%, a while ago. When it's like I can picture in a year, 2 years from now, looking back when we hit some of these top coins that just launched now, or launched a few months ago. They might not be at crazy levels now, but when we look back and we hit it here like this, and then we look at all-time lows, we're gonna remember seeing these, some of these coins right near these all-time lows. An example that I feel like one is gonna do that is like AIT. AIT is a very strong AI project. And when we look back in the future, like right now, all-time low is 8x, right? But again, AI is definitely going to be a narrative that's going to make a killing this bull run. Whether in the next few months or even a year and a half out from now, whatever the time frame. Once this cycle is over, once things are starting to trend into a bear market, whether it is in a year, just over a year from now, or well into 2025 or 2026 rather. I expect, and I'd want to see a lot of these coins, have insane numbers, like 32,000%, like 60,000%, maybe 7,000%, depending on just what it is, what it launched at, how much hype it gets over the bull run. But I think most of these new coins in these new popular narratives, like AI, still like gaming, a lot of Bitcoin DeFi projects as well. Even RWA, I feel like will still have a major leg up, major run at some point. I kind of want to look back and see these numbers look like that, right? I wish I could explain that better. But what I'm getting at with that is I feel like looking at a lot of these newer altcoins, we're not even close to where, when we'd look back on it, we're not even close to where those percentages would be. Because there's just so many newer ones that are very strong. Like I said, they just haven't moved like crazy. And I still think some of the moves we're seeing now will not even compare to, what we'll see down the line from now. Right. Because again, being in crypto right now, that's kind of what we're betting on. We're not betting that this was the top of crypto, right? Not even close. I think this is the earliest time. This is probably going to be the best time where you don't have to really worry too much about your bags yet. In a sense where there's a lot of bullishness for the rest of the bull run still coming up, where if a dip happens, this is going to be the only programmed dip that is going to come, in which I feel like you won't have to worry about. All you want to do is just buy this dip if it comes now. But once we get way heavier into the cycle, buying the dip, that might be the hardest or the worst thing that you can do. Like for example here, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like we're still technically early in this bull market, and however you believe this is going to go, whether it is a short bull market or a long one, this is the kind of dip that I feel like we're on. Something like this, something like here. I'm not saying we're about to go upside, we're about to hit the upside, go like this. But as far as time frame wise, this is kind of where we are. We're having our first major dip, and we still have this much time, left for upside and for just the project, or not the project, the whole market to recover, to continue pushing to the upside. And I think it's just, I think any major dip right now is going to be key, and making sure what the top projects that you should be invested in or you're waiting to invest in. Just have some money ready on the sidelines. Or if projects are at good dips right now, you could be looking for great DCA opportunities right now. And if it continues a little bit lower, same thing. Then just continue to buy until this market reverses. Because, like I'm saying, to be in crypto right now, it's early. If we see a dip, it's going to be a great entry opportunity, in my opinion. And from there, that might be one of the best and one of the last major buy opportunities that I think anyone's going to get in this market. Because once we get deeper in, we're going to have moves to the upside and corrections, especially if retail really jumps back on. The buy the dip is only going to last so long. We're going to have one dip. It'll dip and correct and continue up. Another dip probably going to happen. It'll continue back up, but it might struggle, might have a lot of issues, and then it's going to dip even further, and then many people are going to buy this dip once it keeps going down, and then it's going to try and recover. It never recovers. But that dip that they just bought, that was one of the last pushes to the upside that Bitcoin had. It's like, almost like here, we see a dip here, dipped, came back up, dipped again. It's like people, they see this dip here and they buy this dip and they're like, oh my god, this was the dip for before 100K, right? But then look what happens. This was the final dip. Boom, came back down. And same thing here. Many people bought this dip. Yep, that's it. That worked in this bull market. You made a lot of money on this upside here. Many people bought this, then they saw this flash dip, they're like, okay, it's still back up here. And then people are DCAing, jumping into this dip, and look what happens from here. Eventually, these dips that you're buying in this bull run is going to be the last dip that you actually buy before, you panic exit because you just bought too late into the bull market, everything just decides to start dumping, and then, that's where a lot of gains get unrealized. So my main thesis is you should be jumping in earlier in the cycle, getting into your long-term bags earlier rather than later. That's kind of why I'm bringing that up as well. That's why I preach that any sort of major correction now is the opportunity, because in 6 months, in a year, when retail is here, when mania phase is going on, I'm probably going to be skeptical to be jumping into major corrections in the market, right? Because again, we've already been in the market now for a while, and especially when a lot of newcomers are jumping in. And I know there are some new retail investors coming in, which is good. But I really do feel like if and when there is a major frenzy in this market, let's say Bitcoin is over 100K and sitting over here, one of the dips, once it actually goes up and corrects, that's probably going to be the last dip if you buy before it just decides to dump. But if you bought the dip down here and you had some money on the sidelines, you wouldn't have to worry about it. All you'd have to worry about is figuring out when you should get out, because max euphoria is on the table, And it feels pretty euphoric here, I'm not going to lie. But it's definitely been interesting. Very interesting run so far. Literally since September, October, December. The last 6 months have been very crazy in this market. I swear it's been almost up only, which is why I really would not be surprised to see more downside in the short term. And again, it would be very healthy. So again, if you just bought projects, if you don't know how to read charts or look at charts, that's something I definitely recommend you guys at least just get a general understanding of. The most general thesis I can tell you guys here. Use a 4-hour and a daily chart. And usually when you see a lot of green, something like this, again, I don't want to say on Bitcoin, but, maybe AIT, let's see what AIT looks like. When you see a chart look like this, when it goes up and up and up, and say it's up here, when you see a lot of green, that should be the time when you're exiting the market. And I'm not saying, oh, you should have exited a few days ago. Because again, no, we still have a long time to go in this bull market, whether it is a short one or a long one. Like I've said, eventually this is going to bounce, it's going to come back. AIT is probably going to continue up to multiple dollars. This could even go upwards of like $8 to $10. I wouldn't be surprised. Minimum a couple hundred million into higher, So it's like once we look at the chart, when we zoom it out, this might look something like this. Continue up, boom, correction again, upside, upside. But again, looking at it now, this is only time frame in May and June. We have a long time to go. So bottom line, I just want everyone here to just be just understand where the market kind of lies, and that we are still in fairly uncharted territory. And if you don't know how to chart, like I was getting at, if you see a coin that is shot up like this, it's only in green on the daily, on 4 hours, don't buy it. Wait for a huge dip to buy. It's going to go against your entire thought process in your head, because you're not going to want to buy a coin that's not bullish, on the day. Like, I get it, trust me. But buy a coin that you wanted to buy 2 weeks ago. If it's down like 20, 30, 40, 50%, unless there's some like real issues going on with the team, the development, the project itself, if it's just a regular dip in the market, buy the red on your favorite projects. I'm telling you, that is how you got to play this game. And again, that's just in general, because projects will dip eventually. Even ETH though, ETH chart actually looks very healthy. I think if this can dip to like 32, maybe 33, that honestly might be kind of a bottom for ETH for the short term. Oh my god, as I yawn literally again. But anyways, that's kind of what I got for you guys today. I still think it is fairly early in this cycle. It's going to be hard to tell. Again, the cycle is playing out a lot differently than I feel like a lot of people expected, including myself. It's going to be very volatile, as it already is, So just play it safe, play it smart. That's all I can tell you here. But just prepare for more downside, worst case. Have some money on the sidelines, worst case. If you're very exposed in certain positions, cut some of your positions off if you can't sleep at night. If you know you're holding really strong projects, I personally wouldn't worry about it. I'm holding literally all my bags right now because I'm 95% in, some of my strongest gems that I feel for this bull market. And the only thing that I'm trying to do is I want to add more on a further dip. And that is probably the last time I'm going to be buying very heavily into the market for at least a good amount of time. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Just, I'm telling you guys just what I'm thinking, how I feel, and just what's been going on in the market. Because, again, it's been so rocky the last few days. And just looking on the week, it's been 1 week of rockiness compared to months of upside, right? So you can only imagine worst case what could come if more downside hits. So just prepare yourselves for the worst case scenario where this does dump pretty heavily. But also understand that for the short term, yeah, it'll be rocky. But that's probably the healthiest thing for the market to do, is for it to correct very heavily before it goes up again, right? So short term bearishness, long term bullishness over the next 6 months to a year. And that's what I'm going to leave you guys with today. So I appreciate everyone. And if you got it this far, I appreciate you watching, because I know that's a long ass time. You just took 30 minutes out of your day to watch this, so I appreciate that. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.